Hello and welcome to the Motoring News Zone, the show where we take you through the biggest stories in the world of cars right now. This week, Toyota have revealed an EV SUV that is faster than their GR86 sports car. Elon Musk is back full-time at Tesla, but has their reputation suffered irreparable damage? And California's controversial 2035 ban on gas-powered cars has been repealed in the Senate over in the US. But this story is far from over. We bring you all that and a whole lot more in today's show. If you're on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the video to watch the story that you are most interested in. So, without further delay, let's dive in. Who says that electric vehicles are boring, that they don't have anything exciting to talk about? Well, Toyota took that personally because they've designed a new electric SUV that is faster than a sports car. Their CHR is faster than their GR86, and it's an incredible piece of engineering. A lot of people are wondering why. Why have you done this? Well, because they can. Why not? It's really incredible what they've managed to do here. Now, electric vehicles, for you guys that don't know, are really quick off the line. When you see one of those speed up, because it's instant acceleration, instant power, there is no torque curve, it's just on or off. You just put a massive lump of power down, and the tires are usually good enough to be able to take it. Now, the US spec of the CHR comes with a package that is able to hit 60 miles an hour in just 5 seconds. That is really quick by anybody's standard, let alone an SUV. Even in Europe over here, the single motor configuration of this vehicle has either a 165 horsepower or a 221 horsepower configuration. And because of these stats, Toyota are absolutely spreading their wings and flying. This is an unbelievable vehicle that they think now it belongs to the premium group of SUVs, up there with the likes of the Range Rover Sport and some of those SUV Lamborghinis you see going around on the roads too. Now, for the longest time, Japanese car manufacturers, Toyota of course being included in that, the largest manufacturer of vehicles in the world, you know, they weren't too keen on electric vehicles. Japan, for the most part, on the whole, I mean, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but on the whole, they've not been as keen really when it comes to EVs. They've more been into their hybrid power, but things are changing now. They really are going with the wind on this one, and this car from the land of the rising sun is a fine specimen. That is no joke, really. In fact, like I said, the US version, the fastest version of this car that is available, actually produces a mind-boggling 338 horsepower for a SUV EV. That is insane. So no wonder it's as quick as a Toyota sports car off the line. I can imagine as well, further down the road as well, this can do some serious speed. Now, the guy behind this vehicle actually explained why Toyota did this, why they chose to make this car so souped up. Daisuke Ido, who was the chief engineer for this program, made it clear that the brand is aiming high when it comes to this car. He said, and I quote, "During benchmarking, we brought some of the competitors into two groups. The normal, let's say daily use cars, and the premium cars. Now we are in the premium group. The numbers are more powerful. More power is more appealing," he said in an interview with Road and Track. And the man with quite possibly the best name in the automotive industry, Chad Moore. I mean, you can't get enough of Chad, really, can you? Who is the marketing manager for this vehicle over in the United States. He said, positioning it as more of a sporty and fun to drive compared to the outgoing model. He said that this CHR is more of a sporty and fun to drive vehicle than what came before. Much more premium inside and outside, not just with the BEV powertrain and the acceleration. Very much do buckle up. This could be a bumpy ride. But where this is going, they very much do need roads. But yeah, an incredible vehicle. I mean, if you need to hightail it out of somewhere as fast as possible, this is not a bad option. I mean, it's a better option than a Toyota sports car. So really, really impressive there. But guys, what do you think about this? Like I said, 5 seconds to 0 to 60. And it's even in its more toned down versions here in Europe, the 165 and the 221 horsepower variants, that is still going to be quick. That is still going to be very much a whiplash inducer if you are not expecting it. But the US version, the 338 horsepower version, whew, that is rapid. But yeah, let us know what you think about it in the comments below, guys. California's ban on the sale of new gasoline-powered vehicles in 2035 has been repealed. It has been voted down in the Senate by Republicans 51 to 44. Let's go into why this is the case and where we go from here, because whichever way this was going to go, whether it was going to go in favor of maintaining the law or repealing the law, this was always going to rumble on for some time, and this battle is not over yet. But this is a big blow to those who are wanting to see this law come into place in 10 years' time. So this law was originally pushed through using the Congressional Review Act and nullified a waiver granted under the Clean Air Act, something that Congress has never done in the law's 50-year history before this. California's rule was part of an aggressive plan to shift the auto market towards electric vehicles, and 11 other states intended to adopt it. Together, those states represent about 40% of auto sales in the United States. The decision marks a major victory for the oil and gas industry and a setback for climate advocates hoping to use state-level policy to push through the national market towards cleaner technologies for cars. Now, whichever way this was going to go in terms of repealing or maintaining the law, there was always going to be legal challenges off the back of it, and as it's been voted down, the Democrats are crying foul play as now a legal battle is being prepared by them. Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta said the state would sue Trump's administration over what they called unlawful congressional action. This is about our economy, it's about our health, it's about our global competitiveness, Newsom said. It is Donald Trump about our national security, and it's about our ability to continue to innovate and outpace competition in all areas in the globe. Now, some legal experts have argued that the Congressional Review Act should not apply to California's waivers, which only affect their own state. Republicans said that California's standards essentially are dictated by national policy, given how many automakers follow them. Of course, it is the most populous state in the United States. It accounts for just over 10% of the total population of the country. On top of this as well, the Senate has also voted to block Californian rules requiring half of new trucks sold by 2035 to be electric and limiting emissions of nitrogen oxide, a key contributor to smog. Of course, anybody who's been to LA will know about what smog can be like. All three measures passed the House earlier this year and are expected to be signed into law by President Trump. In response, Senator Alex Padilla of California placed a hold on several Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) nominees and warned of future retaliation. All bets will be off next time Democrats hold a majority, he said. But what has the industry been saying about this? What about the car makers themselves? Well, some automakers such as Ford and Honda had agreed to California's emissions standards. The industry as a whole, though, pushed against the 2035 mandate. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation said the targets were never achievable, citing infrastructure gaps and market readiness. Senator Elisa Slotkin of Michigan was the lone Democrat to vote with the Republicans, pointing to concerns from automakers in her state. Of course, Michigan being the home of Motor City, Detroit. So, yeah, interesting stuff, guys, for sure. Your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the Democrats' legal challenge will be successful, or will this law remain off the table? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So, guys, it's official. Elon Musk has left Washington. He has resigned from his post with the Department of Government Efficiency, which is going to be a big relief to anybody directly involved with Tesla, whether they are board members, shareholders, investors. It's not been a good ride for Tesla, and in truth, all of Musk's companies as well. Of course, SpaceX and Tesla have suffered massive reputational damage recently, as we covered here on the channel earlier this week. But can it be repaired? Can the damage to Tesla be undone, or is it irreparable? That is what I am going to try and answer for you guys here on the channel today. So the biggest thing is that Musk is back at Tesla full time. You know, he is one man. He is a man who works a lot. We know he's a workaholic from the things he used to say when he used to be interviewed. Of course, it's not out of character for him to do a lot of things. He is a high up CEO. He's literally the richest man in the world. So man is very much busy. But at the end of the day, he's also only got so many hours in the day, and by all accounts, and especially according to that alleged letter that has been obtained by CNN from some of the investors at Tesla, they were concerned that he wasn't spending enough time at the company. But that is surely to change soon, as of course he is back full time now, you would imagine anyway, at least. Now, the damage to Tesla actually came out of the success of Tesla, if that makes any sense anyway. Basically, Tesla's stock price really rose very rapidly towards the end of 2024. It hit almost $500 a share back in December 24, but since then, over 50% of the stock value has been wiped out of Tesla, falling to $222 per share in April of this year. The reason for this was basically because, unfortunately, with Musk being directly associated with Donald Trump and the Republican Party, anybody who was a left-leaning voter, anybody who was a Democrat, anybody who didn't like things that Trump was doing, very much wasn't interested in buying a Tesla at that point. And up until that point, that was arguably their biggest customer base. Of course, people on the left in general would be more sympathetic to more environmental concerns, which means that they were more likely to buy an electric vehicle like a Tesla. But that has changed now, of course. Now, since then, things have recovered a little bit over the last month or so, probably because he has announced that he's going to leave Doge. So that's very much a good move in that regard. But is it enough? Well, I'm not so sure it is. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm not saying it definitely is either. This is not very clear cut. And the reason why is largely down to why Tesla is valued so high. Now, you might be wondering, well, they are valued at what they are valued at. No, it's not really that. It's all about the stock price of what Tesla is valued at, and they are valued very, very high. They probably don't even sell a tenth of the cars or a hundredth of the cars of the likes of General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford, the big three, but they are valued incredibly highly. Why is this? Well, it's all about dreams and visions, and that is what Elon Musk sells. When it comes to Tesla, it is Elon Musk visions, it is Elon Musk dreams. And if Elon Musk is saying and doing stuff and is associating with people that you don't like, you're not going to believe in what he has to say. And that is what a lot of people have been saying. That's why a lot of people very much have turned off when it comes to Elon Musk. They're not interested in what he has to say anymore because he's been directly associated with and implementing measures that have been very unpopular with certain sections of society. And if you're part of that section of society, you don't want anything to do with him. You've effectively wiped out half of your customer base, and that is why over half of the stock of Tesla has been wiped out. And this also comes as sales of Teslas are down in the US, they are down in Europe, they are down in China as well. Despite the overall EV market in all of these places increasing, their sales are decreasing. Now, it is not irreparable. At the end of the day, as long as Tesla makes good cars, some people will buy them. Maybe not as many people as before, but some people will buy them. And you could argue that maybe the best thing for Tesla really is for Elon Musk to step aside, but I'm not so sure that's the case either. I think he should still be involved because it's a bit like Ford getting rid of Henry Ford back in the day. It's a bit like Ferrari getting rid of Enzo Ferrari back in the day. You know, you don't really get rid of your founder like that because without them, you'd be nowhere. You wouldn't exist. So I think Musk just needs to stay out of politics, needs to stay out of the controversies. He just needs to keep calm, chill, just, do what he's employed to do. Do the things that a CEO should do. Stay out of the limelight. But when he literally owns X and is tweeting constantly, unsurprisingly, I don't know if he will or not, but you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I think really being so closely associated with Donald Trump has really hurt him, unfortunately, when it comes to reputation, and by extension, the reputations of his companies as well. Just like Cohen, just like Pence, Mr. Pillow, Giuliani, as someone pointed out on Microsoft comments, they got burned. And unfortunately, the things that Elon Musk has done very much has done more damage to Tesla than what China, BYD, or any other car company ever could have done to them. It has been very much an attack from within, an implosion, if you will. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm sure people have got one or two opinions about this. Interesting report that's come out from the International Energy Agency. They are predicting a very sharp uptick in the amount of EVs, electric vehicles, that are going to be sold in the coming years. And in fact, for this year in 2025, they are predicting that 1 in 4, 25% of new car sales will be for electric vehicles, which is a really, really large amount when you think about it. Even in a lot of developed modern countries such as the United Kingdom, we are aiming for around 25%, around that anyway, when it comes to our new electric vehicle sales. So it's for the whole world, the entire world, to produce that many electric vehicles in 2025, I think that's optimistic, to be honest. But is it unfounded? Is it likely? Well, I'll give my thoughts at the end of the video. But here are the overall stats from this report that has just been released by the International Energy Agency. So you're probably wondering, well, how many is a quarter of all new vehicles sold in a year? How many millions of cars is that? Well, in the case of these EVs, they are predicting around 20 million electric vehicles to be sold in 2025. And that's overall around a quarter of the 80 million that is predicted to be sold in the year entirely. Now, of course, this doesn't account for used cars. This is only for new car sales. And it's not completely unfounded in terms of the stats we're seeing so far for the sales figures of EVs in 2025. In fact, overall, in the first 3 months of 2025, the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March, the overall sales year on year compared to 2024 of EVs are up by 35%, just over a third. And in fact, this same report is predicting that in 5 years' time, in 2030, the overall sales of electric vehicles will make around 40% of new car sales, so coming up to almost a half at that point. Now, what is driving this? Well, China is a big leader when it comes to electric vehicle sales. As of right now, around half of all new car sales in the People's Republic of China are, of course, electric vehicles. They have a lot of EVs they are exporting around the world as well, which will also drive up the demand for cheap electric vehicles too on top of that. And even a lot of Asian and Latin American countries as well, they are seeing a lot of EVs being sold right now. They are up by over 60% overall year on year if you take the stats as a whole. Now, in the US and Europe, it's a lot more steady. There's a lot more EVs being sold as a whole, but overall, around 10% increase in the US and around 20% in Europe is what we can expect over the coming years. Now, there are a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes when it comes to this, of course. Now, there is an argument that says, well, EVs are getting close to the saturation of the market in terms of how many people actually want to drive EVs. They are actually going to be driving EVs in the coming years, so there's less of an overall market for them to kind of break into at that point. I mean, that remains to be seen. There's a lot of people that are staunchly against electric vehicles, of course. And on top of that too, let's not ignore the fact that electric vehicles are not perfect when it comes to being environmentally friendly. They are not carbon neutral cars. Yes, they pollute a lot less overall, even if you take in the manufacturing and the shipping process of them compared to ICE cars, cars with internal combustion engines, and also hybrid vehicles as well. But they're not perfect. They're not the silver bullet. I've already detailed why that is in another video. If you guys want to check it on the channel, I would really appreciate that. But yeah, it's positive stats really. If you're wanting to see more EVs out on the road, you're going to be seeing that. It is definitely increasing, but how long is this going to happen for? Is this sustainable? Here in the UK, for example, a lot of EVs are being offered currently with incentives, financial incentives, compared to petrol-powered cars, gas-powered cars for you Americans who are watching this. A lot of incentives are being offered for those, but those incentives, the manufacturers have been out, open and honest when it comes to this and said, this is not sustainable. We can't do this for the long term. So, yeah. I am hesitant to agree with this. Right now, the trends are showing an increase, but will it taper off? Will it plateau? Will it decrease potentially? It all depends on what the average consumer can afford, what is available to them, the network being there, of course, the cost of batteries, all this sort of stuff, and the maintenance and everything. This will all come into the equation of whether you are likely to buy an EV in the next few years. But going off of this report, they are sounding pretty confident that it's going to increase a lot. But do you believe that's going to be the case, guys? I'm a little skeptical, I'll be honest, but we'll see what happens with it. Your thoughts in the comments below are appreciated as always. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But do Tesla need to be making some change to their Model X for the next generation? Well, it very much depends where you actually stand on this, but reportedly, they are not going to be making big changes to those vehicles. Earlier this year, the Vice President of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla, Lars Moravec, spoke about the future of the Model S and the Model X. He told the Ride the Lightning podcast the following, and I quote, "Just give it a minute. We'll get there. The upgraded concept of a few years ago was bigger than most people thought. In terms of architecture and structure of the car, it got a lot better too. But we'll give some love later this year and make sure it gets a little bit, with the stuff we've been putting in the Model 3 and the Model Y," end quote. For reference, the Model S was launched in 2012 and it has been mostly the same car ever since then. That makes it one of the oldest models on sale today from any manufacturer. manufacturer, of course, if you count a new generation of car as a new car, of course, which effectively it is. It's just got the same name as the old one. The S received an update in 2016 and another in 2019, but even that date makes it a very aging vehicle, being 6 years old now. Meanwhile, the Model X was launched in 2015 and it hasn't had an update since then. So with that in mind, you might expect a big refresh to be coming. After all, they are 6 and 10 years old effectively at this point. However, on the photos that we've seen so far, not really. They've not really changed much from the exterior point of view, at least. Now, the Model S has had a slightly changed front bumper, new rear diffuser, and 20-inch wheels, and also a new front bumper cam as well, which was added to the Model Y earlier this year in 25. But when it comes to the paint schemes of these cars, the Model X is actually available in blue, going off of what we've seen so far. Now, some eagle-eyed people did notice that there is a little stripe that might symbolize ambient lighting, but it's either the brightest lighting in the world, or more likely it's just a protective tape strip. But I'll bring you any updates about that when it reaches us here on the channel. So there we go, guys. More of the same, or just the refined improvement? There are things we don't know about this vehicle, of course. We're just going off of the looks of it. I don't think many of the technical specifications have really been released for them, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like what you see, or would you like to see something a bit more revolutionary from Tesla? Your thoughts in the comments are appreciated as always, guys. Not great news coming out of Volvo. The Swedish car giants have announced that they are cutting 3,000 jobs to reduce the cost of their operations. Now, we saw recently that Nissan, the Japanese car manufacturer, they have cut a lot of jobs recently, which is not very positive at all, and Volvo are following suit, so it seems. Now, the official reasons given for this, you can probably guess, is down to tensions over international trade and the resulting economic uncertainty. They are basically choosing to, for lack of a better term, cut their losses, cut those job roles in preparation for potential losses of revenue. Out of those 3,000 jobs that are being lost, 1,200 are going to be in their native Sweden. And around another 1,000 of those positions are currently consultants, mostly based in Sweden. So that's another 1,000 on top of that. And those 1,000 consultants, I mean, that is kind of what a lot of people are saying these changes really are going to be for Volvo when it comes to cutting all these jobs. I mean, 1,000 people being employed as consultants, that is not going to sit very well with the overlords over in China. Of course, Volvo owned by a Chinese company these days. They are a Swedish company, but they are owned by the Chinese. So I think that might be a bit of what's going on here. It's not just those roles that are being cut. They're only around a third of the overall 3,000 jobs being lost, but it's still a significant amount, and that very much does explain why those are being cut. They just want to get rid of the red tape. They want to get rid of the bureaucracy pretty much with that, most likely. The rest of the 800 job losses will be in other positions around the world. Håkan Samuelsson, the Volvo Cars president and CEO, said the following about this announcement. The actions announced today have been difficult decisions, but they are important steps as we build a stronger and even more resilient Volvo. The automotive industry is in the middle of a challenging period. To address this, we must improve our cash flow generation and structurally lower our cost. The company, which is owned by China's Geely Group, has around 42.6 thousand full-time employees around the world. So although it's a large amount of jobs being cut, it's not a huge amount overall as a percentage. It's around 6-7% of jobs around that mark. But still, for those people who are losing their jobs, that looks going to be no crumb of comfort. And like I alluded to in the intro, you know, the uncertainty really when it comes to tariffs around potential trade deals being implemented by the United States. Obviously, they've got one now between the US and the UK, but President Trump, I think, recently has been threatening to slap not a 25% tariff on EU-made cars, but a 50% tariff, which would be a huge blow towards car manufacturers such as those in Germany like BMW, Audi, Mercedes and Volkswagen, but also those in Sweden as well. Sweden, of course, being a part of the EU, so that would be a huge hit. Nothing substantial has come from that. I don't think that claim has been backed up yet, but it has very much been a threat from the president over to EU markets. So Volvo are basically wanting to cut their losses before they become unsustainable losses. But there we go, guys. Not great news, of course. Very bad, of course, if you are a Volvo employee. That's not what you want to hear. I really feel for you guys who have lost your jobs. It's not what you want. Hope you find new work soon. But yeah, we'll bring you much more news on the world world of cars when it comes, guys. Hopefully a little less like this. But yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe for much more information on the world of cars. And we'll see you soon, guys. Have a great day wherever you are in the world today.